storytelling is a universal language, and it's universally, everyone listens to music, everyone has a story to tell. So it was a very appropriate way.
Spéirscéalta, Stories of the Air, is a constellation of stories. These stories come from conversations, walks, performances, and creative encounters. We invite you to breathe with us together. Take a moment to be in your body and concentrate on the breath.
Air is life. It is vital for us humans. We breathe in 11,000 litres of air every day, enough to almost fill a swimming pool. We breathe in and out about 22,000 times a day to fuel our cells and tissues and rid the body of carbon dioxide that builds up as a result of cellular metabolism.
And then in here it's the tube, and it's like a dehumidifier.
Okay.
So it gets all the thick air and puts it through a bunch of filters, and then you get water out of it.
Brilliant.
And
So you've got water, air and food. It's pretty much all we need, isn't it?
Air connects us to our collective pasts. The vital oxygen we breathe began to build up in the atmosphere after oxygen was first produced over 2 billion years ago by photosynthesizing life forms such as plants and algae. It then took about 600 million years for the oxygen-rich atmosphere needed to support complex life on Earth to develop.
Air is always with us, both inside and surrounding us. Imagine yourself in a room with someone, perhaps a metre away, in conversation. Now, imagine that you can see the air you're breathing in and out as clouds that surround you both.
Air is teeming with microbial life. It is estimated that humans breathe in between 100,000 and 1 million microbes each day, around 1,000 different species of bacteria, fungi and other microorganisms. Breathing is an act which deeply entangles us humans with non-human life.
Air is toxic. Airborne viruses such as COVID-19 or deadly phenomena such as air pollution contaminate the air across the world. What makes up airborne particulate matter can vary substantially across different geographical regions, sources of emissions, and weather or the seasons. Many decades after the harmful effects of pollution became common knowledge, the air and atmosphere continue to be made more deadly.
We might consider which industries, infrastructures and systems are supported by the continual extraction and burning of fossil fuels. Which countries are contributing the most to global emissions, and which are suffering the most from the impact of climate change? Why are some countries calling for environmental justice? What are the connections between issues of inequality and climate change? What are the connections between colonialism, capitalism and climate change? Helen Habila writes, "The very air we breathe is politics." Now return to your breath. Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. Breathe in and out. With all of this, how do we know the air? How do you know the air? How do we make sense of something that is at once invisible but all around us, inside of us, connecting us?
I'm going back to the new trend is reduce, reuse, recycle. But I said without using those words, that's how we live.
Maybe through the stories we tell.
Stories are at once quotidian, universal, specific, and ubiquitous. Whether it's the stories we tell ourselves, our friends, strangers, enemies, or our children, stories have always mattered because they are how we make sense of the world and our place within it.
Stories are knowledge conduits. Through them we create and share understandings across cultures and generations. They can be poems, prose or a song, science, fiction or fact. They are told to soothe, to teach, to provoke, to connect.
Stories are not reliant on the written word. They can be whispered in your ear, performed on a stage, or shared as a meme. The words that knit stories together act as archives. They store knowledges that unfold in the telling and retelling.
Stories conjure up places, beings and things who might have been or never were. They ignite and excite our imaginations, daring us to create new imaginaries about the world, our relationships and futures that we are able collectively to imagine. Stories can help to understand the air. Stories from science fact, folklore, science fiction, they all help us to share the different ways we know the air, to understand the air as a shared community resource. What might help us care for it and each other. It might just then help us to think of our responsibilities for the air we breathe, for each other, and for our shared planet.